The next step is to work on the lips. First thing we're going to do is change it so this guy doesn't look so much like a wide-mouthed bass. We're going to fill out the lips a little. First thing we have to do is resize the mouth opening. Do this using the lasso tool. But then we're going to go back in, you'll see, and remove the points here on the dividing edge. Once again, that's to maintain the integrity of that edge. So we're just scaling it inward, and then we're just going to move that in towards the side here. Okay, and now you'll see that basically the mouth opening lines up with the center of the eye. Now with that, we need to go back and modify some of the geometry around the mouth and cheek. And now we're going to start working on the lips. So you see I've added another loop. Now I'm going in and just going to select every other face and pull it outward. That's just to stagger how far out the lips poke. Now I'm going through and showing quite a bit of point editing through here because I figured this might be one area that people would be interested in seeing, how I model lips and mouths. Now usually the lips can be difficult, especially when trying to portray things like femininity, or different ethnic groups have different shaped lips. Just kind of to show these, I'm modeling these fairly large lips, so they're easier to see and easier to recreate. Not a lot of tightly packed geometry, which most, I guess, probably be the most common type of lip. Here I'm just trying to recreate the slopes of how the lips kind of go from wide to narrow and thick to thin. So now I'm going to work on the little dimple there between the nose and the upper lip. Really, this can be done any number of ways, but you need to be a little cautious at this point. It's very easy to just start adding little details, and for these details to take up a lot of geometry. So I'm just trying to, well, I think I'll go back and delete that line. Just trying to do this with as little geometry as possible. So we're going to weld those 2 points. And this way we're terminating this loop very close and still maintaining our quads. So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about how the geometry is going to react as it's smoothed. So I'm pulling in these points to be fairly close to each other so that as the control cage is smoothed out, the lines that are close will be fairly distinct. So now we just take a quick look, see how the lips are. Another thing is you don't want to have too many right angles or really perfect features. So just put a little variations in them, and by selecting single points at a time, this tends to happen naturally. And now we're just going to take another look at the mouth as a whole. And note that the upper lip is really quite ugly. This is the advantage of rotating around your mesh and not just relying upon the perspective views, or the orthogonal views. So I'm going to pause and do some editing. You can see that I smoothed out the lips more, gave them a little bit more rounded fullness. Not too much, but now we're going to take a look at how it really looks when it's smoothed, because we've got enough features now to see if we have any trouble spots. So you see that the geometry doesn't look too bad. It flows nicely and we have some decent curves. There's no real ugly warped areas. It's not very accurate because we don't have the other side of the head to consider. But I'm fairly pleased with the results. So we're just going to extract the control mesh. And that's basically it for now.